Temptations. Lead a healthy life. Don't gamble. Gambling Counseling Hotline, 183-4633.
Hello and welcome to the Financial Report. Local shares jumped after U.S. Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke suggested that the central bank was in no hurry to raise interest rates. The Hang Seng Index rose 532 points to finish at 21,437, its second best daily gain of the year. Turnover stood at $73 billion. Now let's take a look at some of today's most active stocks. ICBC's up by 15 cents, CCB's up by 16 cents, and China Mobile's up by 85 cents. HSBC Holdings up by $1.45, China Life's up by $1.14, and AIA is up by 95 cents. Taking a look at the Hong Kong dollar exchange rates, the US dollar stands at 7.75, the pound sterling's at 11.71, the Japanese yen is at 7.80, the euro is at 10.12, and 100 Hong Kong dollars will give you 79.10 renminbi. In overseas markets, the London FTSE's up by 44 points at 6,549. London gold is trading at $1,284 US dollars and 46 cents an ounce. In Frankfurt, the DAX is up by 90 points at 8,157, and in Paris, the CAC is up by 30 points at 3,870. And that's the finance for Thursday night. Join us for the main news after the break.
Coming up, main news and weather report. Relying on junk. Is it possible to convert an abandoned factory base into a comfortable and high-end loft? 7 people take the challenge. They have to find junk, figure out how to build it, and learn to cooperate. Is it a mission impossible? All about documentary. Junk Raiders, tonight at 10:05. Who's going to host the best party ever? Battle for winning. Participants make every effort. It's a night to remember or forget. Now, it's party time. Party Wars. Friday night at 10.
Would he go through hell for you? Or is he giving you hell? Is your buddy covering your back? Or is he stabbing you in the back? Do you have die-hard friends? Or would they stand by and watch you die? Hold it! You don't have to prove your friendship and love by taking drugs. Stand firm, knock drugs out.
Top teams rock Asia. Arsenal, the top Premier League team, masses all forces for victory. Jakarta turns into a fierce battlefield. Roaring Asia Tour strikes now. Indonesia 11 versus Arsenal. Sunday night at 9:30. Soccer Fever, live on ATV.
Destination.
Good evening, you're watching the news at 7:30 on ATV. I'm Belinda Lloyd.
And I'm Britton Clennett. Here's a look at tonight's headlines.
Henry Tang's wife admits building a legal basement to avoid more serious charge of knowingly breaking the law.
See why Leung defends his performance and policies in drama-filled LegCo session.
Chief Secretary's lobbying fails to win over Chun Won District councillors opposing landfill expansion. Former Chief Secretary Henry Tang's wife has pleaded guilty in court to building the massive illegal basement at their home that cost her husband the chief executive election. But Lee Seok-Hwa denied a more serious charge of knowingly breaking the law. She'll be sentenced on the 30th of this month.
Henry Tang and his wife Lee Seok-Hwa had to navigate their way through a media frenzy as they arrived at Kowloon City Magistrates Court this afternoon. The Tangs had planned out their strategy to tackle charges against Hwa over the construction of a massive illegal basement in their Kowloon Tong home. Hwa pleaded guilty to one count of building the basement between August 2005 and December 2010 without the building authority's approval. The offence carries a maximum penalty of 2 years imprisonment and a fine of $400,000, but she denied a second and more serious charge of knowingly carrying out the illegal works between December 2010 and February 2012. The second charge suggests an element of deception. The prosecution had earlier stated that the second charge would be dropped if Hwa pleaded guilty to the first. Principal Magistrate Clement Lee adjourned the case until the 30th of this month, when a sentence is expected to be handed down. The other defendants, an architect, a structural engineer and a contractor, all pleaded not guilty, and a trial is scheduled in November. Speaking after the court proceedings, Tang confirmed discussing the case with the prosecution.
I think it is just normal for the defense to have a dialogue with the prosecution. I'm not at liberty to go into any more details.
But why should the chief plead guilty to one charge and not the other?
Because the two charges cover 7 years, and the charge is a charge of construction of a basement without prior authority and approval. It does not take 7 years to construct a basement. It takes only a few months to construct a basement. So if we plead guilty to the first charge, then the second charge will have no grounds to stand on.
The Buildings Department launched prosecution proceedings in February after a year-long investigation into the 2,000 square foot basement with 2 skylight openings at the Tang's home on York Road. Tang was considered the front-runner in last year's chief executive election, but the scandal cost him the job. He has complained about unfair treatment, considering that his arch-rival Leung Chun-ying has not been prosecuted for multiple illegal structures at his home on the Peak.
Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying is refusing to start consulting the public right away on universal suffrage, insisting he has to deal with livelihood issues first ahead of the 2017 leadership election.
Under attack from lawmakers during his question and answer session in LegCo today, Leung rejected their calls for his resignation, claiming he has Beijing's full support. Universal suffrage turned out to be the most contentious issue during the chief executive's question and answer session in LegCo this morning. Lawmakers challenged Leung Chun-ying to respond to the demands of hundreds of thousands of protesters at the July 1st rally, and he replied that he fully appreciated their high hopes for greater democracy. He pledged his government will forge ahead with the 2017 chief executive election with one heart, but yet again he refused to give a time frame on how he plans to accomplish this, and brushed aside demands to start consulting the public right away. Leung insisted he has other priorities to deal with first, such as pressing livelihood issues. He said there's ample time to address political reforms, and people have to set aside their differences to bridge what he called gaps on fundamental issues. Leung's response angered Democratic Party chairwoman Emily Lau, who accused him of stalling and demanded to know what timetable the embattled leader has in mind for introducing political reforms. The chief executive replied that her accusation that he has done nothing was very unfair and reiterated that he and his team have been gauging public views on how to attain universal suffrage. Speaking to reporters afterwards, Lau insisted that the only person standing in the way of political reform is Leung himself, and Hong Kong can only move forward if he steps aside.
I get the feeling that people in the pro-Beijing camp, they understand that if there's no change in 17, it's not an option. If that happens, Hong Kong will be ungovernable. So they also want to have a consensus. So I call on all sides to let us talk and let us try to reach a solution. This chief executive is completely useless, and he should go.
Also unimpressed with Leung's answers, Civic Party lawmaker Kwok Kar-keet warned him that he's making Hong Kong suffer by ignoring public calls for greater democracy and demanded his resignation. A defiant Leung replied that he and his team have Beijing support and they will continue to work in a spirit of cooperation. People Power lawmaker Raymond Chan suggested that the chief executive should reduce waste at source in his own administration and step down instead. New People's Party chairwoman Regina Ip defended Leung, calling on people to give him time to deliver his pledges.
He referred to CE election in 2017 several times. I think this firmly demonstrates his commitment to electing the CE by universal suffrage in 2017. And I believe the consultation will get underway in a year's time, judging from the chief executive remarks. And it will definitely, I hope it will definitely get underway next year.
The chief executive also touched on another political hot potato, the Occupy Central movement, whose pro-democracy supporters have vowed to block the streets of the business district next July if the government fails to deliver genuine universal suffrage. Siding with the business community, which is warning that the civil disobedience movement will harm Hong Kong's reputation, Leung stressed that everyone has a responsibility to help maintain the city's economic stability. Industrial sector lawmaker Lam Tai Fai pressed the chief executive on political accountability and asked whether he and his team should step down because of their plunging popularity. Leung insisted Lam should be fair in evaluating his cabinet's performance and defended his officials as dedicated and conscientious servants of the community. That prompted Lam to warn Leung that he was sending a dangerous message to the public that he no longer cares about the spirit of political accountability. The chief executive told Lam not to rely on popularity polls as the only gauge to monitor his government's performance. Chun Mun district councillors have voted against the government's plans to expand the neighbourhood landfill, despite a last-ditch effort by the chief secretary to change their minds.
The expansion plan is facing defeat tomorrow when LegCo's Finance Committee votes on funding. But Leung Chun-ying is urging lawmakers to put public interest first. ATV's Emily Sue reports.
During his question and answer session at LegCo today, Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying made a last-ditch appeal to lawmakers to prioritise the common good of Hong Kong people and support his government's landfill expansion plans. Leung admitted that the government had let Tuen Mun residents down by dumping obnoxious material in their backyard for years. He expressed sympathy and promised a review to better address their concerns. But Leung's conciliatory tone failed to impress People Power's Raymond Chan.